Hey everyone, Christoph here, product designer at Pointerpro. Also with us is Matt, our account executive. Hi Matt, how are you doing?
I am fantastic, Christoph. Excited for this webinar here today.
Awesome. So welcome to our webinar about the new AI widget that allows you to use artificial intelligence in your reporting. What is on our agenda? We are going to look at our vision on using AI, how to set up the widget in your report, some examples on how our customers are using it, and afterwards there is room for questions that we'll try to answer at the end of this session. So our vision on AI, basically it's two things. One, keep it optional, and two, keep it under control. We think of AI as the autopilot in an airplane. It does a lot of work on its own, but you want to be able to turn it off in risky situations. And that's the same with AI. The trick is knowing when to use it and when not to use it. So that's our first point. It should remain optional. Second point is the unpredictability of AI. We know it's powerful, but it's not super consistent. And we want to keep things under control, especially in a professional assessment. You want output that follows your logic, applies your framework, your scoring model, your recommendations. We want AI to shape itself around our own human expertise. So keep it under control, keep it optional. Now, Matt, you have been using our new widget. Would you mind showing us around a bit on how this works?
I would be happy to. Obviously, I've gotten a ton of questions on this new feature, and it's been really awesome to be able to demonstrate this new AI widget to both many existing current Pointerpro clients, but also a lot of new prospective clients who are interested in it as well. So if we can go to the next slide, we actually want to start first with the end goal. Right. So on the right, your AI prompt, as mentioned, we're able to pass assessment variables, which we'll talk about in more detail in a moment, directly into an AI prompt. ChatGPT then uses that context to instantly generate tailored feedback. On the left, you can see the result, right? A fully personalized PDF report where each respondent gets clear, very relevant insights, explains what their results mean, and outlines practical next steps. So all of this happens automatically. No manual logic, no static content. We are turning assessment data into actionable guidance delivered instantly at scale. If we can go to the next slide. Step one, connecting your API, your OpenAI API key. And this is a very, very simple step here, right? One, you generate this key directly in your OpenAI account under the View API Keys toggle. Once this key is created, you simply just paste it right here within our tool and connect. From that point on, Pointerpro can securely send assessment data to ChatGPT, pull in the AI-generated output straight into your reports, no custom development required. Another thing I want to mention, you only have to connect this once, right? So you connect it once, and from that point, you're ready to power AI-driven feedback across however many assessments you have built within our platform. Also want to mention the standard integration is with OpenAI at this moment. So we certainly encourage users to explore the possibilities, and we have a ton of different examples that we're going to go through today within this webinar. It can be made possible to use your own particular GPT or agent. I know many clients I've spoken to have already trained GPTs on unique data or on their tone of voice or whatever it might be. Now, this will require a little bit of professional services, but the good news is that it certainly is possible at this point. And again, we'll talk about some of those questions later on in the presentation. Next slide, we're on to step two. So just like adding any other piece of content within our report builder, this really is as simple as drag and drop, right? All you need to do is slide our new AI widget into your report, wherever you want to provide this AI-generated feedback. P.S. I do want to mention, please do leverage our column layout widgets, which really allow you to dial in the physical location of this feedback within any page of your report. Within our AI widget, You're able to include variables, as I mentioned previously, which allows ChatGPT to provide really, really highly specific feedback relating to the respondent. We're going to talk a little bit more about variables on this next slide, which is actually step 3, writing your prompt. Okay. 1, be as specific as you'd like. I want to mention again variables, right? If you already use Pointerpro, you already understand how variables allow for personalization without any manual intervention. For those that are new to the tool, as you're building an assessment in our platform, our tool automatically generates a list of assessment-specific variables, each of which represents very specific information that you've collected or that you've calculated throughout the questionnaire. So things like personal information, answers to questions, scores, even custom calculations that you've created. So with our AI widget, of course, you're able to include these variables within your prompt, which then allows ChatGPT to provide highly specific feedback relating to your respondent, right? So if you can see from the screenshot here, within this prompt, we're leveraging both the overall score of the respondent, so the overall maturity score, but we're also providing category-specific scores based on maturity thresholds, which are mentioned at the end. So you can see it says the overall maturity score out of a scale of 0 to 100, where 0 to 40 represents a low score, 41 to 70 represents a medium score, and 71 to 100 represents a high score. So this is a ton of context for ChatGPT to be able to provide feedback on now. We also want you to know that the AI prompt widget itself is not a paid-for add-on. So if you have a plan that includes our report builder, you have access to this, and we highly encourage you to test it out with some prompts and begin using it as soon as you'd like to. Next slide, please. Another feature I wanted to mention, and this is a new one as well. You can now export your PDF reports into PowerPoint presentations. And this gives you a ton of freedom, right? Because 1, you can now edit any of that content that was generated from the AI prompt. And I think many of us have heard, some stories about certain consultancy firms out there that are leveraging generative AI, producing reports that certainly do have some hallucinations, right? So at the end of the day, this is our human oversight piece, right? This is your ability to pull in that prompt, pull in the feedback, and then if you need to, you can export to a PowerPoint presentation, you can change the feedback, you can edit really anything from layout, design, aesthetics, and content as well. So now what I want to do is I want to get into a couple prompt examples that I've created. And there's prompt 1, hello, Ward and Bart. First, let's look at we're going to look at different types of prompts that could be created here, right? So the first one we want to do is look at an open-ended response example, right? Previously, without this AI functionality, the Pointerpro platform had no real way to read through open-ended responses and use them to deliver very particular feedback, right? But that now has all changed, right? Open-ended responses now can be securely sent to ChatGPT, which quickly analyzes the context, the intent, the key themes, and then generates customized feedback and guidance based off of the actual response. Again, instead of predetermined and logic-based options that were built within the report. Remember, the name of the game here with our system is automation, of course, right? So this newly generated AI feedback is inserted directly into your automated PDF report. Now let's look at the actual prompt example. Let's go to the next slide. Here's an example of a prompt using an open-ended response in this case. So as you can see here, the prompt states, 1, you're currently analyzing an answer to a business needs assessment taken by founders. The question was, and then you see a variable, auto-generated by our platform. The first variable that you see, the gray highlighted text, represents the question itself to provide context for ChatGPT, and then is immediately followed by another variable, which in this case represents the respondent's actual answer to the question. Furthermore, I mentioned using up-to-date business growth protocols provide a 1-paragraph personalized reply as to how this founder can most effectively achieve their business goals as described in their open-ended answer. Next slide. Seems we might be having some technical difficulties here as we're moving to the next slide. Let's see if we get things back up and running. While we do that, I see a question. from Hannah. Can I choose the open AI model that I want? Oh, are we up and running? Christoph, can you hear me on your end? Let's my questions while they get this figured out. So one question, can I choose the open AI model that I want? Yes, and per prompt, right? So for example, I believe the newest model is ChatGPT 5.2. But there is an option in the settings where you can ask it to use a previous model as well. We have a question from Idris. Idris, how are you? Does an output to PowerPoint count as a download? Yes, it does, Idris. So whether you're producing a PDF report or exporting to PowerPoint, it is going to count as a download. Oh, Christoph, you're back.
I am back. I don't know what happened, but I am back. So
technical difficulties are all part of the fun.
Right.
So we were just on a questionnaire example of my first prompt. If we could get back to that, I believe it would be the very next slide. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I wanted to also provide the answer that the respondent could have provided here, right? So I pretended as a de facto respondent here. I said, okay, my goals for my company in the next 5 years are, 1, I want to grow my number of employees by 5x. 2, I want to increase my revenue by 100%. And 3, I want to set up a robust management structure, allowing me to spend more time with my family. So yes, these are quite aggressive goals, but they're very specific in the answer that I provided. Now, if we can go to the next slide, we can see the result. Okay, so here's the result. As you can see, that prompt pulled in personalized feedback completely based on my answer. It provides a framework to allow me, the founder in this case, to grow my business and to be able to set aside more family time. So that's a perfect example of an open-ended response, using an open-ended response to generate ultra-personalized feedback within the report. Let's go on to another example, prompt 2, if we can. And one more slide. Okay, so scoring examples. Yes, of course, you can automatically pass respondent scores into ChatGPT to generate contextual and score-specific feedback, as well as just open-ended response data. You can include scores, maturity ranges, as you've already seen, right within the prompt to provide as much additional context as you'd like. And just like the first prompt, this feedback is going to be injected directly into your branded PDF report instantly and automatically. Let's go to the example of the prompt in this case. Okay, here's the prompt. New assessment example. You're analyzing a cybersecurity assessment taken by a founder CEO type. The overall score is X. Again, the variable representing the respondent score in this case. And we even mentioned that the scoring's on a 1 to 10 scale. Provide a paragraph of customized cybersecurity feedback for their organization with recommendations based on the following score ranges. Since scoring is on a 1 to 10 scale, we very simply said, okay, a low score is going to be between 1 and 3. A medium score is going to be between 4 and 6. And then finally, a high score is going to be between 7 and 10. Now that we've added the prompt, let's see what type of feedback this actually produces for our report. If we can go to the next slide. So here's the result. The feedback in the report, which first actually mentions the respondent score out of 10, in a 9 in this case, as you can see. It mentions that this certainly falls within their high score range, as we wanted it to. And then it provides additional feedback on things like security governance, access controls, security awareness, and more right within the report. And it looks great as well. Now for prompt number 3, and this is going to be my final example, if we can go to the next 2 slides here. I wanted to have some fun with this third prompt. So ultimately, when playing around and testing this feature, the question really becomes like, how specific can I be with the prompt? How many different data points can I pull into a singular prompt? So I figured, why don't we test it out here today, right? So just to quickly highlight before I show the actual example, right, as the presentation says, can we include multiple data points with a single prompt? A resounding yes. Can we utilize a respondent's answers to multiple questions at the same time? Again, yes. Can we combine things like scores, calculations, personal and demographic information, and answers to questions into the same prompt? Yes. And we did so. So let's go to the next slide. So here's a fun prompt. It says, you're evaluating a business audit assessment taken by an executive within an organization. In the area of marketing operations, the respondent scored an X out of 10. So there's a score variable. It goes on to say, the organization works in the following industry. We did have a drop-down menu in this case right on the intro screen, allowing the respondent to choose what specific industry they work in. Of course, this will be relevant when talking about marketing operations for an organization in this case. Additionally, we included an answer to a question, which in this case was, how many employees are there within the organization? We then go on to say, provide a thorough paragraph of feedback directly for the assessment respondent using their name, again, represented by a variable here, and the aforementioned industry as to how they can improve their marketing operations. As you can see, we pulled into this prompt, 1, a score that was achieved by the respondent, 2, the industry that they work in, which was a drop-down menu selection, 3, the number of employees they have, which in this case was just an answer to a question within the questionnaire. And then finally, 4, the name of the respondent, which they provided in this case. So this should allow for quite a personalized and thorough piece of feedback generated by ChatGPT. Let's see how it turned out in this case. Here we have the result. So first, you can see my name's included. It says, hi, Matt, right at the beginning of the feedback. It references my score, and it references the industry that I selected, which was manufacturing in this case, before providing really detailed recommendations for my marketing efforts within the organization. Again, we just want to encourage you to be creative and test these different prompts out, and I think you'll be quite happy to see the results as we have here. So those were 3 examples of different types of prompts that we've seen our clients using within the tool. I've answered many questions about previously and had quite a fun time testing out myself.
That looks super cool, Matt. Thank you. I see a lot of possibilities with this, actually. I'm wondering, are there any questions from people?
And obviously, we may not be able to get to all of the questions today. If you do have questions, we have some email addresses up here. Feel free to reach out to me directly. Feel free to reach out to sales@pointerpro.com as well with any additional questions that we're not able to. But I do see one from first Jason Lang. Does adding AI to reports improve engagement or satisfaction? Well, to be honest with you, right, the data is not really in yet, if we're being completely transparent about it, right? But we're definitely convinced that if this widget is used in a smart way, I certainly think it will. Think of it's almost like having a personal assistant working on each and every report that you're producing with up-to-date collective knowledge, right? So I certainly think we will see that. As of right now, we certainly don't have any concrete, the evidence isn't in at this point. Let's see here. Ava, about the PowerPoint export you mentioned, can I also move around text or edit images in the report? Absolutely, you can, right? And that's sort of the benefit of that export to PowerPoint. It gives you a lot more control over the end aesthetic and design in this case. Mike, do you add anything to the prompt before sending to chat? Yeah, absolutely. Guardrail instructions, Mike. Again, that's why we mentioned here, be as specific as you'd like with the feedback, right? And you can also use our preview PDF button to run things like your most recent response data through that. And again, with our tool, it's not going to count as a PDF report download. So using that preview PDF button, you'll really be able to test how tweaks and changes that you make to those prompts influence the actual feedback that's being pulled in. What type of assessments work best with the AI widget? So that's a good question. The answer to that is all assessments, right? So we've seen it really effectively used, certainly in self-assessments, and those were kind of some of the examples that I showed today. They can absolutely be used in team or organizational assessments, as well as 360-degree assessments, right? It really just depends on the context that you're providing within the prompt and really being specific about the type of feedback that you want to incorporate within the report. Stacy, if I want to create a group report, can I use the AI widget to to summarize the open-ended text responses of an entire team in the report. So yes, absolutely, right? You can, just like we did in the self-assessment example, you would absolutely be able to do that in a team example as well. There's a lot of questions coming in here. Let me try to get to all of these. Devon, can the AI summarize the entire report and the survey? So I'm not real clear on the question here, but you can include multiple AI prompt widgets within the same report, right? So you can absolutely create a report that is chock full of AI generated feedback. Jason, will the AI prompt widget work in multiple languages? That is a very good question. And the answer to that is yes. If you want it to work in multiple languages, you must either write different prompts per language version of your report. So in most cases, when our clients have assessments in different languages, they'll just have different versions of the reports in different languages. But of course, whatever language you want the feedback to occur in, you just include that within the context of your prompt.
All right. Looks like we answered some questions. I propose we wrap up this session. I want to thank you, everyone, and thank you, Matt. I hope it has been helpful.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure.
Well,
Carla just mentioned I missed the beginning. Hi, Carla, by the way. I just missed the beginning of the call. How can I see it? I would imagine that was going to say. One, I believe this will be uploaded. This will be uploaded to YouTube when we're done, and I believe it will also be sent to our LinkedIn channel. So we'll make sure that you get access to a copy of that, Ian. Ian mentions, Ian, we've got your... Idris, no, this is not extra. This is included in your license, just so you know. And then the final question, I see Ian's been sending one over. Is it ideal to use a database GPT with a variety of possibilities so the respondents are targeted to assist the client, but also navigate them towards the most appropriate next product? Ian, I'm not quite sure on the context of your question, but if you reach out to me or the Pointerpro team, we would be happy to quickly connect with you and talk through it in much greater detail. Absolutely. I just wanted to thank Christoph for being here, Jeroen for helping put the PowerPoint together, and everyone in the chat for participating and being interested. Thank you for joining. This is a really, really cool day for Pointerpro. I think this feature is going to allow you all to really, really incorporate some awesome feedback within your report. So thanks again, and we hope to see you all using this very soon.
Cool. I may just add that if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Our emails are here on this slide. And we will also look through the chat for any unanswered questions so we can get back to you anytime. And lastly, I want to thank you for attending, and we will see you next time.
We'll see you on YouTube.
Bye, everyone.